Okay, so today we're looking at a Shenandoah waste oil furnace. It is not running and it's on reset, so we're going to see if we can figure out what's causing that. Here it is, and the first thing we're going to do is fire it up and see. I'll hit the reset and see what it does. We got our power on. If we look inside, see, there's a spark and just a tiny flame on the tip. Now what we want to see is where our air pressure is at and our oil pressure. So here it was reading at about 15, which is good for our air. The oil gauge is downstairs with our fixed speed pump, and that was reading 0. When I hit the reset, I already went down there and checked. So the next thing we're going to want to see is if we're getting oil up to the burner, and why we would be getting 0 psi on our oil side. That gauge could just be bad, so we're going to check and see if we have oil right there. Not a lot of oil, but we're gonna now fire it up and see if we're getting oil to the burner. So and we're getting nothing. So that tells us that there's probably not a problem with their slide out here or a clog in it. We have 3 options then. They're either out of oil, there's a clog somewhere before this, maybe in their filter or their pump, or their pump's not working. Now we just put a new pump on not too long ago, so they might be out of oil or it's clogged, so we're gonna check that. If we're getting oil to the pump, we're gonna open up this bleeder right there and see if we're getting oil. Okay, one more time. As you can see, oh, we're starting to get some. A lot of air. A little more solid. So it's possible that all this needed was to be bled. If they ran out of oil and then refilled it. Well, we will see. Okay. So since we were getting a solid stream of oil, we're going to go back up to the burner and try and fire it up and see if that was the problem. Since there was no oil in this line, it might take a second for the oil to get from the pump to here, so we may have to hit the prime a couple of times, and then make sure your switch is on run. Still nothing. Nothing yet. And there's the reset because it didn't see a flame. What we could do is disconnect this line, and then we would know when we get oil up here. Alright, I hit the reset again. Oh! And there's our flame. Okay. We'll let that run for a minute. Okay, so it seems like they must have ran out of oil at one point and lost prime in their pump. While we're here, we'll probably throw on a new oil filter just to make sure that's clean, especially if they did run out of oil. When you run out of oil, then some of the junk in the bottom can get pulled up into the filter. But our air looks good, 12 to 15, and we'll look at the flame to see how that's looking. It's a little wide. But it's not touching the sides. So we might add a little bit of air. Get a little more distance on it. Which is hard to tell on the camera, but you want it to be about 2.5 feet long, 3 feet long from the edge of the burner inside. So I'll let this run for a few more minutes. Make sure it's all good before we take off that filter, and then once we put that filter on, we will have to reprime it again, and I'll show you that. Alright, it's still running great. The fan kicked on, and they are a little shaky. Once the fans come on, the whole unit will shake. But the flame looks great, so we're going to go look at that pump. Alright. So there's our pump, our PSI gauge, and this is a fixed speed pump, which means that when you're bleeding it, well, after you've bled it, it might take a little bit longer for the oil to get through the line up to the burner. And then here's our vacuum gauge, reading at about 6.5, 7-ish, which is not too bad. It's a little high. Anything higher than that would be problematic if there's a clog somewhere, but that's not too bad. Alright, so to wrap this up, we didn't put a new filter on, but that's because we are planning on coming back this summer to maintenance it. If you did not have plans to maintenance this anytime soon, I would definitely replace your filter, re-bleed it, and you may need a second person to help you up at the top to flip the toggle switch down to prime. And then there is a gasket inside this A-pump as well that you might want to pull this off. Check the there's a filter strainer in there that could get dirty. Put that back on, but this will be your main maintenance right there. So we're good, and we're out of here. Thanks for watching.